Am I the asshole for refusing to eat the food my mother cooked? My F-33 parents moved in with me a week ago as they sold their house to have some extra cash in their hands. I lived with my grandparents since my young age, so it was nice that I got to finally live with my parents again. So I gladly opened my home up to them. The thing is that my mother loves to cook food for me, and certain food items make me gag due to a childhood trauma that I have not been able to recover from. My body automatically rejects it and it will vomit it out. Been to therapy and it just doesn't work. Now that my mother is living with me, she wants to cook for me, to which I was a bit hesitant and told her it's okay, I can cook for all of us, but she insisted that she will cook. So I gave in to her, and she is aware of why I have trauma of certain foods items and what they are. She just shrugged and just said to tell her what I wanted to eat for the day, and she will cook it for me. To be honest, I was a little relieved too, as it would have taken the cooking burden off of me. I gave her some money to buy the ingredients. It was going fine till the fourth day, where I came home really tired from work and was really looking forward to a good meal at home, only to find one of the food items of my trauma waiting in the kitchen. I asked her if she had cooked anything else for me. She told me to stop being picky, grow up, and just eat the food. I looked at her in shock and couldn't believe what she had said, that she wanted me to eat the food of my trauma, which she caused when I was younger. Walked away into my room and cried myself to sleep. Next morning, she just looked at me all hurt and said it was just a small trauma. I should get over it since it happened so long ago and stop being a little bitch. I kept quiet and went off to work, and for the past few days she has been ignoring me. Can you guys please tell me if I'm being the asshole here? Edit. For those asking what the trauma is, when I was about 8 years old, my mother used to force feed me to eat certain foods that I never liked. Even after I'd vomit them out, she would continue to make me eat it till she is satisfied. I used to get nightmares about these foods when I was younger, but after lots and lots of therapy, the nightmares are gone. But I still do vomit up the food if I consume them. Trust me, I have tried to eat them many times, and it is always the same results. Vomit. I mean, obviously not the asshole, considering, you have a trauma with those foods. Your mom caused the trauma, and she's the one trying to make you eat them. Definitely not the asshole here. I mean, personally, I wouldn't even have allowed them into my house. Like, if that were me in that situation, I would have just been like, you're stupid. Why would you sell your house? And then just let them go and do whatever they were going to go do after that. But especially after if you called me a little bitch, after not eating one of the foods you traumatized me with, you were getting kicked the fuck out of my house. I know that much. Okay, next story. Am I the asshole for refusing to learn Irish from my boyfriend? Throwaway account, as I'm pretty sure my boyfriend knows my regular Reddit account, also on mobile, so apologies for the formatting. I, 25F, have been with my boyfriend Scott, 25M, for 2 years now. For context, Scott's family has been in the U.S. for several generations now. Scott himself has been born and raised in the U.S. Scott recently took a DNA test for just fun, and the results came back showing that he had a lot of Irish ancestry. Ever since the results of the DNA test, he has been fascinated by his Irish ancestry. He dyed his hair red to show his Irish side, as he put it, and has started speaking with an Irish accent all the time. To be clear, this is a guy who has been born and raised in the US and didn't have an Irish accent until he suddenly found out that he had Irish ancestry. I understand being curious about your ancestry, so I let it go for a while. Recently, however, Scott offered to teach me Irish. I agreed. Always good to learn a new language. And as much as to my dismay, I discovered that his idea of teaching me Irish was teaching me to pronounce words with him in an Irish accent. I told him that he wasn't speaking Irish, and that Irish wasn't just English with an accent, but an entirely separate language of its own. I told him that if he wanted to actually learn Irish, then I'd be glad to teach him, or I'd be glad to learn with him. But what he was doing feels like cultural appropriation. Scott has been giving me the silent treatment and saying that I'm disrespecting his heritage. Am I the asshole? I didn't even know that Irish was a language. Besides, I know about Celtic, but that's probably a whole other thing. I fully thought that they all just spoke English because of England and such. That's crazy. Am I the asshole? My roommate isn't comfortable with me wearing a certain crystal around her. I'm just a mining engineering student who likes rocks. I recently ordered some multivite after failing to find any at any rock or gem fairs for over a year, and when my roommate found out, she was in shock. I always wear cool rocks because they're cool and help with anxiety because I can fiddle with them. I was talking with my roommate and she told me to keep it away from her and that she's dead serious because she believes in more spiritual side of crystals, which I'm fascinated by and respect, but I don't believe in personally. I ordered it because as a little kid I was obsessed with space. Then I moved to geology and moldavite is where the two quote literally collide. I was so very excited. I'm just trying to figure out if I'm an asshole for wearing it, if it's going to make her anxious, or if it's okay because it's my jewelry and my body, that I got it because it was significant to me. And if it were a cross or religious thing she was telling me made her uncomfortable, I feel like it would be as seen as much worse. TLDR, am I an ass for wearing crystals that make my roommate nervous despite not believing in it myself? I feel like this is one of those instances where it's definitely like my body, my choice. It's like, I don't know. That's a really hard, really weird situation because it means a lot to the poster, but the friend, like the roommate, I mean, makes it seem like it's like gonna kill her. I don't know a lot about moldavite as much as I like crystals and stuff. I'm not as educated about them as I could be or should be. So I don't know the story behind moldavite, but I'm hoping they figure this out because it seems like a really tough situation. Am I the asshole for telling my parents that my sister has been stealing from my grandparents, which resulted in her getting kicked out? I, 16M, recently caught my sister, 19F, stealing money from my grandparents. My parents hired her a while ago to clean their house once a week because my grandma has been sick. I was paid to help her this week, and that's when I caught her stealing money out of the dresser. She put the money back and tried to gaslight me into thinking I didn't see it, but I found even more stolen money hidden in her supply bucket. I have a no snitching rule with my siblings, but I chose to tell my parents because they're my grandparents, and they don't have a lot of extra money. Meanwhile, my sister has everything she wants, and my parents literally give her money all the time, so she didn't even have a reason to steal. My parents confronted her about it, and she lied at first. They then looked and found out that there was even more money missing from the places my grandparents keep it. They confronted her a second time for stealing and lying, and she finally confessed. But they got into a huge fight about it, and my sister ended up being kicked out. She blames me and has me blocked on everything. Am I the asshole for telling on her instead of just making her put the money back? No. She was stealing from your grandparents and she didn't need to. You can't trust a thief. I know they say honor amongst thieves, but it's like there's no honor in that. Your grandparents don't have a lot of money and you're stealing from them when you don't need to. That's messed up and uncool. You don't steal in general, but especially not from family. So unless like the grandparents did something in particular to her when she was younger or something, then I guess that makes sense. But we'll never really know, will we? Am I the asshole for making sure my foster parents could never have more kids? I'm 18M. I turned 18 4 days ago. I was in foster care starting at the age of 5, but due to some medical and behavioral issues, I was bounced around a lot. Shortly after I turned 16, I was placed with a couple, Steve and Sandy, who made it clear from the beginning that they would be asking me to move out at 18. I don't know why. I was stupid enough to think that they would at least wait a few weeks after I turned 18, but I was. I had trouble finding a part-time job with the pandemic going, but started at a restaurant 6 days ago. So 2 days before my 18th birthday, they pay monthly, so I was waiting for my first paycheck to move out. When I got home from my job Saturday, I smelled something burning, which isn't uncommon since Sandy and Steve love to barbecue. But when I got into the garden, there was a massive pile of everything in my room in the grass, and it was burning. I immediately went to shouting, asking what the fuck was going on, why my shit was being burned, and why they were doing this to me. They said it was because I turned 18 and was still in their house. I told them that they never told me I had to be out the day I turned 18, to which they responded with should have been more clear then. Should have been more clever then. Sorry. When I went into my room to get what I could, it was bare. They burned freaking everything from my clothes and underwear to my laptop chargers, switch, and more, which is complete bullshit since 90% of that stuff I came with. I gave them back my keys, and I'm staying at a hostel until I land on my feet. But I reported them to my social worker, who reported them to the foster agency and the police. Within 24 hours, the other 2 foster children had been removed from their care. Am I the asshole? Thank you all so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Have a great one, you guys.